Welcome back, everybody. Today I have a bit of an off-the-cuff video for you. My friend Coz, quite a while ago, loaned me a bottle of perfume to get my thoughts on it. And he also suggested that perhaps I might like to review it on the channel. And of course I said yes. I'm always happy to review perfumes and, share my thoughts. And around that time was when we sort of started in earnest to get this office set up. And I confess, I put it in the cupboard and I forgot about it. Sorry, Coz. And so he messaged me yesterday and said, "Are you going to review the perfume?" And I went, "Oh, that's right. Yes, I have your perfumes." So I dug it out of the cabinet, started spritzing it. Today I've given it a really good wear of several hours. I've been up since about 5 o'clock this morning, took the dog for a walk twice. And I've just been sort of getting my thoughts on it. And it is a really beautiful day to be wearing this particular perfume too, because it's a crisp autumn day, but the sun is out and everyone's out having a really great time. I was out walking Poppy earlier and there was all these kids' birthday parties in the park, and it's a beautiful day. It's a good day to be reviewing this particular perfume. Let's get on to reviewing this perfume. I don't anticipate this is going to be a super long video because, to be fair, this perfume is not super complex, but it is an absolute joy to wear. And this is a bottle of Guerlain's Aqua Allegoria Pamplemousse. I hope I'm saying that right. This is the old bottle. I think it's still available in the current lineup, but it did get reformulated. I confess, I have not smelled the more recent version, but I know Pep from the Sentinel does have a current version of this and he absolutely loves it. My friend Coz wasn't a fan of the reformulation. It didn't work on his skin, he said. So there is a little bit of a difference, I guess, which, makes me feel cautious about reviewing this because somebody wants to go outside. Pardon me. I'm always cautious reviewing things that you can't get anymore because people do get quite frustrated with that. So I do apologise if you're one of those people who really hates it when people review things that are really hard to get or discontinued. So anyway, so this is the old formulation. And I know Pep reviewed the current version. I have a feeling it was maybe during the pandemic. I do recall maybe back in 2020, but I don't, like I said, I haven't smelled it myself, so I don't know if I can really compare. So it might be interesting for me to revisit his thoughts on the current formulation when I've filmed this video. Anyway, you can sort of tell by the bottle. It doesn't have the opaque label on the front. It's a clear label. So I pretty much gave myself a good spritz of it this morning, and I haven't showered since walking the dog. And that's not as gross as it sounds, okay? I did have a shower before I walked the dog. It's not a hot day today, so it's fine. I didn't put makeup on for the walk though. I did weirdly put the makeup on just now, so hopefully it goes okay. So I'm just gonna spritz this now on my right hand because I've also had spritzed it on the back of my left hand, so that's got the dry down on it. And then my right hand will be the opening. So this is extremely mouth-watering. You really have to enjoy grapefruit to enjoy this fragrance, or just citruses in general, really. It has a really photorealistic tanginess to it, which is what I think is making my mouth water when I smell it. I feel like I'm getting greenness as well right up front. It's super juicy. It really does smell like a medley of bergamot, grapefruit, maybe even a little bit of orange or mandarin in there. Perhaps not so much the juice of the orange, but like a bit of pithiness, like the orange oil out of the pith, or maybe that's really just the grapefruit. I sort of am getting the image of, what's the grapefruit that is pink, or just pink grapefruit, I guess. I think I was in my mind thinking of blood oranges. But yeah, the pink grapefruit. That's what it's sort of smelling like to me. But then there's a greenness in there as well. And whether that's coming from green citrus, like bergamot, but I also feel like that greenness is like a zingy, sort of stemmy greenness where you've just plucked the citrus fruit from the tree, and you've got that smell of the stem juices on your fingers, and it's really sort of not astringent, but it's, you know, it's kind of sharp and really crisp. As it dries down a little bit more, maybe 15-20 minutes in, I start to get an element of other sort of fruitiness that's in it, and it to me is sort of leaning on a little bit on the darker side. It's not a dark fragrance, it's still very light and juicy and sparkly, but I sort of get the image of a darker coloured fruit, and it does sort of start to remind me of a drink that I used to drink when I was a kid called Ribena. I loved it. I loved that stuff. And that was basically like a blackcurrant. I don't even know if you could call it juice. It was just a blackcurrant flavoured cordial, I think, or maybe it was juice, but it was really diluted. I used to love that stuff, and that's kind of what it reminds me of. Not the concentrate, but you know, if you diluted it down, that's the sort of element I get in here. So what I'm saying is that it's not just all really bright, sparkly grapefruit and citrus. There is another fruity element in here that sort of gives it a bit more body, makes it a little bit more interesting, maybe makes it more wearable for any sort of circumstance. So, you know, for me personally, really strong citrus dominant fragrances I wouldn't necessarily wear during winter, or I wouldn't necessarily wear at nighttime. But this one, I feel like you could wear this during the day all the way through into the evening, and it would still be appropriate. And what I really still get for most of the wear, I mean, this fragrance doesn't really last a huge amount of time. It's a very light wearing fragrance, and it's designed to be that way. So really, you know, for me, 2 hours in, it's in the real dry down, and it's basically a skin scent. But one thing I did notice when I was out and about was that zinginess and that zestiness and that tanginess of the, you know, the stemmy greenness, and also the tartness of the fruits, and the bitterness of that pithy element of the citrus was really present throughout the wear of this fragrance, which I really enjoyed because it keeps that really uplifting element of the fragrance going. And ultimately in the real dry down, like now on this hand over here, I am still getting a little bit of that tanginess that you would get from breaking a stem off a plant. And I still feel like I'm really getting that grapefruit oil, you know, that bitterness that you get, but it's also smelling a lot more woody and a lot more musky than it was several hours ago. Although having said that, you know, when I say that it doesn't last very long, it's still doing pretty well considering it's been a few hours since I sprayed myself for the walk, and I still feel like I'm getting that tanginess in this hand, but it's just so much more prominent on this hand in the opening. And it's not quite as mouth-watering once it dries down compared to the opening, which, yeah, this just makes me want to go eat a lemon tart or something, you know? So overall, I really enjoy this because it's not overly sweet. There is a little bit of sweetness in there, but it's not too much, and it's not sugary. The citruses are really zingy and tangy, and you've got that greenness in here. There is neroli and petitgrain, and that petitgrain has that beautiful, really crisp, woody greenness to it, which I just absolutely adore. This is a really beautiful fragrance. And I know that the style of fragrance that it is, it's not meant to last for very long. And it's a shame because I would just love to be able to smell this ongoing. And as a summer fragrance, I think it is obviously perfect because, again, it's not too sweet. It's very uplifting. It's zingy and tart, but also is grounded with those green notes and some woodiness. But then also, I feel like I would wear this in the wintertime on days when I want something a little bit fresher. And I think it would still feel seasonal appropriate because it has that little bit more body, a little bit of sort of a darker element seeping through from those other fruit notes and spice. Because I think this also has cassia in it as well, which I think is a spicy note. But again, it's not an overly complex fragrance that changes a whole lot. And I wish I had a sample or something of the more recent version so that I could compare them side by side for you, but unfortunately I can't. But if I can get my hands on a sample of it, I will, and hopefully I can revisit a bit of a comparison for you in future. Pamplemousse by Aqua Allegoria just really landed itself on my potential wish list because I don't really wear that much in the way of citrus fragrances, but I really enjoy this one and I just love that tanginess and that greenness that it has. So I may consider getting a bottle of this, but I just have to weigh up whether or not I really think I'm going to wear it. Because again, I've been sitting on this bottle for a couple of months now and poor Cos has been waiting for me to return his bottle and I'd completely forgotten about it. So if I'm forgetting about it when it's in my possession for the purposes of review, then chances are if it's just sitting in my wardrobe waiting to be worn, it's also going to get neglected. So perhaps I don't need to actually get the bottle, but I would say if you enjoy citrus fragrances, but you want something that smells a little bit more photorealistic and maybe brings in some of the plant element of the citrus, then this one might be a good one to check out. Anyway, thank you very much to Cos for loaning me this bottle and allowing me to spritz this precious juice that is so hard to get now. And thank you for watching this review. Let me know if you've tried this. Let me know particularly if you've tried the older version and the newer version. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.
We were young and we were free and running, never bothered about what could be coming. Every day we danced and life